Blame Truth here, the Codfather himself, bringing you another video. I actually came out of YouTube retirement with Modern Warfare 2019, and that game was so bad, and I'd already experienced a lot of issues with Call of Duty in general leading up to that point. Tons of loot boxes and scummy business practices, and the fact that the games were just kind of ripping off what was popular at the time. They did the jetpack thing. They did the rip-off of Overwatch thing with Black Ops 4. It just wasn't the Call of Duty I knew Call of Duty could be. They went from innovators and trendsetters and trailblazers into just cheap copies of whatever was popular at the time. It was already pretty bad. And then here comes Modern Warfare 2019, which, quite frankly, gave me AIDS. It was so bad and so far removed from what I wanted to see Call of Duty be that I had to come back and just air my frustrations. I clearly was not alone in my frustrations because my videos got traction, and now we're here 5 years later, kind of doing the same thing. I like to think I've improved since then, since I came back, and the videos get better and better every year, I think. But we are still here, still complaining. And I want to make this video as a weird kind of apology at the end of the day, because while I still don't like Infinity Ward, I think Infinity Ward is filled with actual bad eggs, and I think they're led by an absolute moron. I think it's time I apologize to the devs. And by the devs, I mean Sledgehammer. To the devs, I mean Treyarch. And to the devs, I mean even Raven, I guess. And any other, I mean, there's so many devs at this point. There's so many studios. It's hard to keep up. Toys for Bob. Basically, everybody but Infinity Ward, I apologize to. And the reason I say that is because it's become abundantly clear now that more information has kind of leaked out and more things have been covered as far as the Activision and Call of Duty devs go, that there's a lot of just handcuffs on everyone. And this tweet I saw the other day kind of sealed the deal, and I just want to show it to you because this kind of just gave me a whole new perspective. I kind of got a whole new perspective after talking to an insider that has direct communication with Sledgehammer Games about like how bad Sledgehammer actually gets treated by Activision. I had no idea. I mean, the rumor going around is that Vanguard was made in about 8 months. And truthfully, that's totally believable. You know, it's a mod of Modern Warfare 1, and it's horrendous. But anyway, yeah, that was my first real epiphany. This tweet I'm about to show you is my second real epiphany. Let's just go over it right now. This is from Aaron W. Stump, who is now working on Apex Legends at Respawn. And he says, "Would you ever work on COD again?" He says, "I'd love to, but I probably will never work on COD again. Working on COD was super soul-crushing. It's hard working at a place where you just show up, clock in, and clock out and have no creative freedom. Since working on COD, I told myself I will fight for anything I work on and believe in. I didn't work this hard to make someone else's vision. I'll keep my soul, and it's a strong one." He also replies to some smart-ass guy who says, "Ah, yes, a job." And he says, "Indeed a job, but stings a lot different with how competitive the industry is to get to work in it. You are passionate about the work you do, sacrificed a lot to get to that position, etc. It's almost like having someone else tell you how to raise your baby." Now, Aaron is a former Warzone and Cold War dev, and the fact that he worked at Treyarch, essentially, and still didn't have the freedom to do what he wanted is upsetting. And we've seen this come out a lot in the past couple of years. A lot of articles, a lot of just disgruntled developers have finally came forward and said Activision are terrible. And I'll show you some examples of that as the video progresses here, but I just want to take a quick moment here. This is my second real epiphany, and I'll kind of admit here, a lot of my rage and criticisms and just, I don't know, unhappiness was probably aimed at the wrong people. I do blame Activision, but I've also blamed the devs for a lot of issues. And this goes back to what I've been kind of preaching these past couple of months is that when we don't know the details, we're forced to speculate, we're forced to fill in the gaps. The fact that devs are now coming forward and saying, hey, this is not right, we made this game in 8 months and we didn't get to like implement all the things we wanted to implement. I mean, we heard about Infinity Ward basically controlling Sledgehammer with Modern Warfare 3, and a lot of Sledgehammer devs were not happy about that. It seems like the only dev that gets a say on what to do, and I could be I could be like over speculating here, and it could not be the case as well, but it seems like the only dev team that gets any sort of creative freedom is Infinity Ward. And their creative freedom, I mean, it's just terrible design decision after terrible design decision. Infinity Ward needs to be the dev team with the shackles, not Sledgehammer, not Treyarch, not even Raven, not Toys for Bob, not whoever else is involved with the franchise. But regardless, whenever that Bloomberg article came out and talked about how Infinity Ward basically controlled Sledgehammer's development of Modern Warfare 3, that pretty much told me all I needed to know. That pretty much told me that Infinity Ward is the only dev team that really has creative freedom, and 2 years in a row now, they have shit the fucking bed, man. They have come out with two of the worst video games I've ever played. I couldn't make maps worse in Modern Warfare 2019 if I tried. And Modern Warfare 2, I mean, don't get me started. I have hundreds of videos talking about that game. You know how I feel about it. Terrible. I'd rather, I don't know, man, teabag a live bear trap. I'd rather coat my wiener in steak drippings and then fish with it in a tank of piranhas. I just made that up on the spot. There you go. Oh man, I need to formally apologize to the dev teams though that aren't Infinity Ward. And here's another thing. You guys will criticize, some of you guys will criticize my videos and say like, I just complain, I need to stop playing it. No, like, if I don't complain, it's clear the devs can't complain, right? It's clear the devs are under lock and key here. So by doing this, especially knowing what I know now, finally, I'm on the dev side. I really am. They need better working conditions. They need less shackles. I mean, it's not just the fact that they're controlled and told what to do. The hours these people work has to be insane. The crunch time has to be insane. I'm going to back that up with some snippets from various articles I researched today. These are all from reputable sources, from GameSpot to Reuters to GamesIndustry.biz. I'll just let you see what I've collected. And I've covered this, I think all of this in previous videos, but let's just give a little collection here just to show you what the hell's actually going on behind the scenes. So this was a video I made very shortly after Modern Warfare 3 came out, but basically Modern Warfare 3 was developed in just 16 months with some periods of crunch and communications issues between developer Sledgehammer Games and Modern Warfare creator Infinity Ward. That's according to a Bloomberg report citing several anonymous members of the development team who said the game was built in less than half the time, usually a 3-year cycle, as previous Call of Duty games. In fact, this is said to have had the shortest development time for a Call of Duty game in several years, although rumor has it Vanguard was actually shorter. I talked to another insider that pretty much confirmed that. Anyway, it's also claimed they worked nights and weekends to finish the game in time for its launch today. Some developers said they felt betrayed because they were promised they would not face another shortened development cycle after the struggles of their previous project, Call of Duty Vanguard, which was also built under constrained conditions. Let's go back to Black Ops 4 because this has been happening for a while. From this article, it says, in the report, which is titled The Human Cost of Call of Duty Black Ops 4, numerous current and former developers shine a light on how Treyarch's contract employees, in particular those working in quality assurance, say they are treated as second class. The devs say they are informed not to speak with developers from other units and that they have to park in a separate parking lot. They also reported working extended hours, around 70 hours per week. In addition to complaints about crunch and general workplace conditions, the report reveals key details about the development of Black Ops 4. It's reported that management decided to cancel the game's campaign mode in early 2018. This was a tough blow for the devs, as their previous game, Black Ops 3, reportedly saw a big shift in direction too. A planned open world design was dropped in favor of a standard linear story. This one's more recent in the past year. Workers pointed to the company culture outlined in the California Department of Fair Employment and Housing lawsuit filed last month as the root of a company-wide problem, that the company being Activision. In the lawsuit, employees alleged widespread sexism and workplace misconduct perpetuated by leadership that trickled down to all levels of the company. Activision Blizzard workers told Polygon that leadership in Texas and Minnesota have been positioning the lawsuit and its alleged toxic culture as a problem specific only to Blizzard Entertainment, which is cited frequently in the court documents. But workers from other studios told Polygon that's not true. The problems are in all facets of the company, and contracted workers in both QA and customer service say they feel vulnerable due to the lack of job stability. All 15 current and former employees Polygon spoke to, as well as the majority of workers that emailed statements through a representative, said that pay is exceptionally low, with rates as low as $12 an hour. During crunch periods, some people said they worked up to 7 days a week for at least 10 hours a day. Some workers said they struggled with their mental and physical health during these times, yet felt compelled to work anyway, simply because they otherwise were not paid enough to survive. To be like a contracted QA tester has to be a living nightmare when Activision is at the helm. But the actual dev teams, I mean, it keeps going here. Activision Blizzard is facing another complaint to the National Labor Relations Board that it's trying to keep employees from talking about their working conditions, despite their legally protected rights to do so. The Communications Workers of America has filed an unfair labor charge against the company, alleging that it told workers they could not discuss issues related to the sexual harassment and discrimination lawsuit filed by State of California against the company, according to a press release from the union. According to the complaint, an employee was threatened by a manager after posting an article about the lawsuit in Slack and discussing holding Activision Blizzard accountable with other coworkers. According to former Blizzard senior test analyst Jessica Gonzalez, who is cited in CWA's press release, the company has a pattern of retaliation against workers who speak out, which has only gotten stronger as the company faces further legal challenges and complaints. And to top it all off, a big doozy here from Yahoo Finance. Video game maker Activision Blizzard is facing fresh accusations of labor law violations, with workers alleging the company spied on them and attempted to stop them from communicating about pay and working conditions. This is a separate thing, by the way, from the sexual harassment lawsuit discussion. But the CWA union filed an unfair labor practice charge against the company with the National Labor Relations Board earlier this week. In the filing, the CWA alleged that Activision engaged in illegal surveillance of workers during the walkout to end gender inequity and cut off access to a chat channel where workers were discussing wages, hours, and working conditions. Oh my God. The company was also accused by the CWA of threatening to shut down other internal channels of communication where workers discussed labor issues. The CWA argued that these were examples of Activision's continued efforts to undermine and suppress workers' rights to organize. Representatives for Activision Blizzard were not available for comment when contacted by Fortune. And for those not in the know, U.S. workers covered by the National Labor Relations Act have a legal right to discuss their pay and working conditions with their colleagues. Guys, I don't know what else to say. I've known about certain issues, but when I really did a deep dive today and I saw the dev openly talking about it, and I've heard the devs lately openly talking about these issues, I have to just say, seriously, sorry. My vitriol and criticisms have been pointed towards the wrong group of people, pretty much. Make no mistake, I'm still not a fan of Infinity Ward, like, truthfully, unless they want to clear the air there, but they're not going to do that. But I don't know, man. Activision Blizzard, whenever I talk about these issues and say, like, this could be a thing, I could speculate that they're doing this, I could speculate that they're doing that, I don't put anything past these scumbags. I don't. And to everyone out there accepting care packages from Call of Duty, and this goes to anyone, and I'm not trying to call out people, I'm not trying to name names, but anyone that gets flown out to these events or whatever, anyone that gets these care packages, anyone that is in the Activision bubble, like, you are a part of this, whether you want to admit it or not. You are a part of the dev teams getting shafted, working 80 hours a week or whatever, working nights, barely surviving. The QA testers especially get treated like garbage. I mean, me personally, this is just me. I don't want any part of it. I'm not going to ever accept anything from Activision Blizzard. Like, I'm just not. I never have. I never will. I don't like the company. I don't like how they treat their employees. I don't like how they treat their devs. And you guys can sit there again. You guys can sit there and say like, "Hey, BT, you're just complaining for the sake of it. You're so negative. You're being toxic. All this stuff." Guys, I'm sorry, but at a certain point, being positive and hopeful doesn't get you anywhere. Wars were not fought and won by people just having positive thoughts. Wars were fought and won by people sick of the bullshit and wanting change. Am I telling lies there? You know? Like, I'm just one guy. I get that, but I have reach. I have an audience. And I want to bring these things to light. I want to keep everyone in the know. And I want people to know that my complaints are for the greater good. Maybe one day people will see that. But I don't think so. I think people have short attention spans. I have more people than ever saying like, BT, you don't get to the point fast enough. This 17-minute video is too long for me. Like, has TikTok just killed every motherfucker's attention span or what? I don't get it. I've never really had these complaints until now, which kind of just shows how bad TikTok and YouTube Shorts and all this other short form content has just killed people's attention spans. Straight up. They've been conditioned just to get everything in this 1 minute package. I don't do that, man. I got a lot to say. I'm going to keep saying it straight up. Sorry if you don't like it. I mean, you got timestamps. I got people bitching. I even have timestamps dividing everything. Like, I don't know. Anyway, let me get back to the main topic here. I am kind of rambling now. But, yeah, man, at a certain point, I feel like I'm the only person out there that's not in Activision's good graces. I don't get invited out to anything. I don't get care packages. I never have. I never will. And yet I'm still bringing these things to light. No other creator out there will talk about these things in depth because they don't want to get on Activision's bad side. I really don't care at the end of the day because you guys got to realize I had a YouTube channel based on Call of Duty. Call of Duty got pretty bad after Black Ops 2, so I kind of just took a step back from the series. I played Black Ops 3 and I played Black Ops 4 a lot on my Twitch channels, but the series, I mean, it hasn't been good for a long time. Overall, the overall quality has been bad for a while, but the fact that it keeps getting worse, I said to myself after Black Ops 2 that I'm just going to play Treyarch games pretty much. And I did, and I enjoyed those, but even Treyarch disappointed me with Cold War, and I'm like, this is just too much. It's getting to be too much. Something's happening, like things are getting worse. I need to call this out, and that's why I've done this consistently for the past 5 years. Guys, stuff doesn't change when you just sit there complacent with your thumb up your ass, smiling. It just doesn't. Positivity does not work. In fact, I mentioned this in a previous commentary, but every single time I think back to a situation, like some big important decision in my life involving someone else, I keep continuously thinking back and thinking, I should have been meaner. Honestly, I really should have, because stuff doesn't change when you're just nice. It does. You get walked on when you're nice. That's why I kind of made 2 videos about the whole Ace thing. Like the first video, I'm like, hey man, here's where I'm just kind of explaining stuff. Very neutral, very positive, very nice. Tried to be genuine. And then after a day, I'm like, you know what? No, I probably should just kind of call a spade here. Don't beat around the bush. Don't try to be nice. You know what I mean? Like, man, I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to tell you guys the truth. I'm here to bring you guys Call of Duty content. I'm here to make money, and I'm here to do it all my way, straight up. That's all I got to say about that, and that will do it from me. I hope you guys enjoyed this commentary. I hope you guys enjoyed the Black Ops 2 Plutonium gameplay. Thank you, Mr. Thick Glutes. But yeah, just wanted to make this video kind of apologizing. It's a bit long form, but I think it needs to be said. And I will catch you guys on the next one. Everybody have a good one. Peace out.
Here's some parting advice.